Well, Midnight Strikers, the time of year is approaching where I go back and look at the things that I've missed over the previous year. And not only am I going to look at the things that I missed in 2014, I am going to look at the things that I missed in 2013 as well, albeit however few they may be. So we're going to start things off with the Alter Bridge album Fortress that dropped in 2013. And let me just start this off by saying I stupidly did not review this when it came out on purpose, because I wanted to have something to review at the end of 2014, as I was basically covering every single thing that came out that I was interested in 2013. It was probably my busiest year on the channel. You know, everything was just set up. I was gaining subscribers like wildfire. I was really into it. Part-time job, had all the time in the world, no kid, girlfriend didn't live with me. I had all the time in the world open to me. Things are a little bit different now. Things were different in 2014 when things just changed drastically when I had that factory job and I didn't have any time to review this. So here I am rectifying that, and I'm going to rectify that decision that I made almost 2 years ago, and I'm going to be reviewing Fortress for you. So this is a little bit of a different Alter Bridge album, as it is the first Alter Bridge album released after guitarist Mark Tremonti went off and formed his own band. So he released All I Was, and then they came out with this shortly after, about, a year or so afterwards. Yeah, 2012, that was when All I Was came out. But this is the first Alter Bridge album to include a song where Tremonti takes lead vocals. Now, one would think they wouldn't want to do this, because then they would think that the song Waters Rising would be a Tremonti song, but they make it so different, so unique, and they put that Alter Bridge flavor on it, where it's very technical, but it's not as heavy as what you would find on a Tremonti album per se. So this album has something unique about it, something very special, but I just can't put my finger on it. It's not my favorite album, that title still goes to AB3, but there is so much on this album that sticks out and is so unique that I just can't help but listen to it over and over again. Maybe it's Miles Kennedy's vocals, maybe it's the different flavor that they put on the guitars, who knows. The production has definitely got a lot of flavor to it as well. It's very clear, it's very audible. Everything is where it needs to be in terms of the levels of the guitars versus the bass. The bass definitely doesn't overshadow anything, which is a very nice flavor. Overall, it's just a really well-crafted, well-produced album. 13 tracks, including the bonus Outright. I actually have a poor quality version of that on here, but I did look it up on YouTube for what that song actually sounds like in 320 kbps. So it's a very good song, really love the structure of it, and I will get into everything as I go through the track listing. But first, I just want to say that this is one of my favorite Alter Bridge albums of all time. I would probably rate it second. My list would probably go AB3, Fortress, One Day Remains, and Blackbird. I'm sorry, Blackbird fans. I know everyone usually says that Blackbird is better than One Day Remains, but I don't know. I like the simplistic nature of One Day Remains. Even though it's not simplistic, it's still more simple and stripped down versus AB3 and Alter Bridge's Blackbird. And especially this album too. But this album does definitely bring a lot of the simplistic natures of their first album back into the fold, especially on songs such as Outright and Farther Than the Stream, which basically relies on the melodic natures of the chorus and the harmonic natures. So really good songs, really, really tight-knit. It's almost like they had a bunch of ideas, but they trimmed it down in just the right places, especially on a lot of these songs. But my main gripe with it would probably be with the title track. It's a little too long. It's their second longest song they've ever done, next to Blackbird, and I really wasn't too big into that song either. I thought it kind of dragged on for a little too long. It sounds like with this particular song, like I said, on this particular album, they had a lot of ideas thrown into the mix, and they trimmed it down in all the right places. Not this song. Not this song. They had too much. They just kind of, they had too much, I would say. They didn't trim it down enough. But overall, it is a good song, and I can dig it. I do like the vocals. I like the sound of the guitars, of course. It is a good song. It's just not really title track worthy, I would say. I mean, they could have called this album Farther Than the Stream or Waters Rising. Actually, they could have just called it Waters Rising. That's probably one of the best songs on the album, but you know, maybe that's me Tremonti fanboying, but I really don't care. Tremonti is fucking awesome. I just got his CD cauterized the other day. I ordered it online. Couldn't find it anywhere. But anyways, track by track, the first song is Cry of Achilles, and this begins with a very interesting acoustic intro before going full-blown electric, and very technical and simplistic song at the same time. I don't really know how to describe it. It's just a really, really tight-knit song. Got its simplistic elements, and then it's got its very technical parts, especially in the beginning. Same with the song Addicted to Pain, which was actually the first song that we heard off of this album back in 2013. It was the lead single. And I would say that my favorite part about this would be the vocals. Definitely hits those high notes with Myles Kennedy. Definitely a very good choice for that. And just the structure overall. Bleed It Dry, kind of the same thing. Very technical, very guitar-driven, and I like this song too. Lover, this one I liked, and I really wanted to get into, but I didn't like it as much as some of the other material on this album, particularly because of just the structure. I wouldn't say that it's I wouldn't say it's boring, but it does kind of drag on a little bit. But I do like the vocal effects used on Myles Kennedy's vocal performance. He uses a filter that kind of makes it sound like he's singing in underwater or something. It sounds good. I don't really know how to describe it. Underwater, it's got kind of that layering effect to it, and it sounds really ambient, I would say, and very atmospheric. Adds sort of an atmospheric element to it. The Uninvited, kind of the same thing. It's a very simplistic and stripped down song. I do like it. The production is definitely spot on, very clear, very audible. Everything is where it needs to be on that song. Pieces Broken, I really like this one of my favorites. Calm the Fire, same thing with the vocals. Waters Rising, I think the band had their reservations about putting a song out with Tremonti on vocals for a number of reasons. One, because he already has a very successful solo band. It's not really a solo band, Tremonti, that basically makes the same kind of music. And two, because Myles Kennedy has such a phenomenal voice that why mess with a good thing? So they put this out. It sounds very good. It sounds very much in the vein of Alter Bridge over Tremonti. Tremonti has a little bit more, or had at this point, a little bit more of a simplistic style of hard rock / heavy metal with some melody thrown in there. They got more melodic with Cauterized, but you could definitely tell the difference here as it is a little bit more technical, and they definitely play with the flavor of the lead guitar a lot more than they do in Tremonti's band. So it definitely doesn't sound like a Tremonti song. It sounds like an Alter Bridge song, and they just put Myles Kennedy's vocals in there in the background versus the forefront just to make it sound that much better. So I definitely did enjoy his vocals in the backing vocal section as opposed to Tremonti's vocals being in the backing vocals for this reason. Tremonti has a kick-ass voice. Creed should have been utilizing it more. Alter Bridge should have been utilizing it more. He's one of the most underutilized guitarists in the history of guitarists, except when it comes to his own band, because he's free to do whatever the heck he wants. So I really like it. So Cry a River and Farther Than the Stream pretty much go hand in hand, as is All Ends Well. Farther Than the Stream is probably my favorite of the two. Cry Me a River comes in at a close second, but all three of these songs are basically guitar-driven and technical and have a very heavy flavor to them. So very good, very harmonic, and just great songs overall. Very guitar-driven and vocal-driven in the choruses. So the next song, Fortress, as I stated earlier in this review, it's a little bit too long for my taste, but I do like it. So the last song on here is called Outright. Now, this is the shortest song on the album. It is I believe it's a Best Buy exclusive track. I'm not entirely sure, but it's an exclusive track to something, which is kind of stupid because it's one of those things that encourages people to go out and download albums versus going out and buying them if they were already wanting to go and buy it. Maybe, I mean, if I heard, oh, you can only get this song at a certain place, but you can only get this song in another place. It's just one of those things like gaming pre-orders that I really don't like. But the song in general, the song itself, isn't bad. It's very good. I like it because it's a throwback to One Day Remains era Alter Bridge. It's very simplistic. It sounds like it could go on as a bonus track, in my opinion. It's just a really good song, very stripped down, very simplistic, and the vocals are where it needs to be. The guitars are very prevalent. It's got a lot of flavor to it, so just like on the rest of the album. So overall, I'm going to give this a 9.7 out of 10. Probably give 83 an 9.8 if I were to review it, but this is just a hair. Actually, I'd probably give 83 a perfect 10 because I just love it that much, to be honest. But I'm going to give this one a 9.7 because I like AB3 a little bit more, but there's just something about this album that screams, I'm original. I'm important. So, I'm unique. It's a really great album. If you haven't checked it out already, I strongly suggest that you do. You will not be disappointed. So, with that, thank you very much for watching. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.